Part 10. The Law of Correlation. Your effective employment of thought power, after all is said and done, will be found to consist largely of your ability to arouse into action the creative activities of thought. These activities operate chiefly through what has been called the correlation of thoughts and things, the mutual relation existing between your thoughts and those things in the outside world which are connected with the former by the links or bonds of association. By the law of correlative attraction, your inner thoughts draw to you those persons, things, and circumstances which are correlated to them, and at the same time you are drawn and attracted toward those persons, things, and circumstances. When you have found out exactly what you want, have kindled in your desiring nature a strong, ardent, burning craving and longing for that which you know you want, have established in your field of imagination the strong, definite mental pictures of that which you know you want, have aroused a lively hope and faith and confident expectation of obtaining that which you want, and have called into activity the forces of your will in the direction of attaining and manifesting that which you want, then you will have set into operation the law of attraction along the lines of the correlation of thoughts and things. This, because you have generated thoughts sufficiently strong to serve as magnets, attracting to them that which is necessary for their objective expression, manifestation and realization, and, at the same time, attracting and drawing you to the persons, things and environment most likely to accomplish the same result. Helen Wilmans, a leading teacher in the early days of mental science, based her entire teaching upon this law of attraction between thoughts and things. Over 25 years ago she announced her law of mental correlation, the basis of which was as follows: there is always set up a strong relation or correlation between the individual and the things which form the subject of his chief thought. She taught her students that they could mold and determine their environment, health, financial condition and general success, by the nature and character of their ideals, provided that they kept their minds strongly filled with these ideals and the ideas arising from them. This, indeed, is the very essence and kernel of modern mental science, which in many forms and under many names has worked such great benefit to many thousands of its students during the past 30 years or more. The following quotation from the above mentioned pioneer teacher will serve to give you the spirit of her thought on the subject, which you will see agrees very closely with our own thought as set forth in the present book. Mrs. Wilmans said, "There is nothing truer than that the quality of the thought which we entertain correlates certain externals in the outside world. This is a law from which there is no escape, and it is this law, this correlation of the thought with the object, that from time immemorial has led the people to believe in special providence. A man believes that he is led by providence in a certain direction. The direction is not of his own choosing, so far as his consciousness is concerned, but providence has nothing to do with it. There was in that man, unrecognized by the law of correlation himself, that which related him to something or some condition on the external plane, and under the law of correlation he went in that direction. Every thought a man can have relates him to some external thing, and draws him in the direction of it. This fact on the plane where the thoughts of men are fleeting and of no comparative importance has too frail an effect upon external life to be noticeable. But when much thought has been given to one subject, the result cannot be other than observable. Thus, continued thought upon disease allies us with the external conditions related to disease, or, more correctly speaking, it creates the disease. A belief in poverty not only burdens and oppresses us until it makes us mentally poor, but it allies us with poverty-stricken conditions. Thought not only allies us with certain external things that represent its own character, but when we have ascended from physical to mental it becomes creative. This is a marvelous thing, but if I know anything in the world, I know it to be true. What? Can a person by holding certain thoughts create wealth? Yes, he can. A man holding certain thoughts, if he knows the law that relates effect and cause on the mental plane, can actually create wealth by the character of the thoughts he entertains. This creation must, at this time, be supplemented by courageous action, intensified by creative thought and knowledge of self, but such action is only a part of the thought. This law is easy to understand if one will only take the trouble to investigate it. The gradual recognition by a man of his own latent powers is the heaven within that is to be brought forward into the world and established in these conditions which correlate it. I have never taken a single step upward in the external world that was not the direct result of my recognition of some new power within my brain. I have never sought wealth at all. I have simply sought to know myself. I have believed in my own greatness, and in your greatness equally. I have denied that man was a creeping worm of the dust. I have seen him as the seed germ of all attainment. I place no limitation upon his powers of progression. I scorn the word impossible as applied to what is in his power to be and to do. I think of his vast ability, and thought power my own, with a jubilant feeling of surpassing triumph. I regard it as an assurance of present as well as prospective greatness, and a guarantee, eventually, of absolute mastery over all things and conditions which once mastered me. And in the direct measure of the power I have in holding this conception up before my perception, just in that measure am I successful in my undertakings. Let me lose sight of it, and my success declines. The most faithful and critical observation of this thing for many years has demonstrated its truth as certainty. A mental poorhouse projects from itself the spirit of a visible poorhouse, and this spirit expresses itself in visible externals correlated in its character. A mental palace sends forth the spirit of a visible palace with results that correlate it. And the same may be said of sickness and sin, of health and of goodness. No amount of money will give one that inner opulence which is the sure foundation for unchanging wealth, that opulence which is the purse of Fortunatos, and which never can be exhausted. Mental wealth, which is the recognition of inner ability, is the only true root of external wealth. External wealth that has not this root is but a floating aeroplane. There is no dependence to be placed in it. When strong desire power is kindled and set into operation, when the object of the desire is apprehended definitely by the individual, and is represented by clear, strong, definite mental pictures, when faith, hope and confident expectation is aroused, when the will holds itself to the task of purposeful determination, then the entire mental being of the individual, subconscious as well as conscious, is directed to the task of manifesting in objective form the ideas and ideals inspiring thought, imagination, faith, desire and will. The entire mentality is turned to the work of calling forth, directing, urging, guiding, spurring on and sending forth the energies of thought power and setting them into operation along the lines of the law of thought attraction and the law of correlation between thoughts and things. This, as we have repeatedly informed you, tends, 1. To draw to the individual the things, persons, circumstances and environment of the external world which are conducive to the objective manifestation of the idea or ideal, and, 2. To lead and urge the individual toward the persons or things of the outside world which are calculated to accomplish the same end. Moreover, this process once set into operation tends to arouse the hitherto dormant subconscious mental faculties of the individual, calling upon the subconscious mentality to reveal and to disgorge its hidden treasures of ideas, memories, plans, creative work, etc. To set into operation the marvelous powers of the constructive imagination along subconscious lines, to invoke the aid of the power of subconscious mentation or unconscious mental rumination, and, finally, to cause the superconscious faculties to superimpose some of their marvelous stores of wisdom upon the conscious realms of the mind. The mental resources of the individual are more than doubled by the addition of the treasures of the subconscious and the superconscious planes of mental power. In the operation of the law of attraction, or the law of the correlation of thoughts and things, when once you have set them into activity, will you experience many happenings which may seem almost uncanny to you, but do not let these disturb you, for they are but the result of perfectly natural laws of cause and effect on the mental plane. There is nothing miraculous or supernatural about them. For instance, you may turn the corner and unexpectedly run into the one particular person who will fit into your particular scheme of things at that moment. Or, you may pick up a newspaper, or a magazine, and find in it something which will supply the missing link of some plan or idea of yours for which you have been earnestly searching for some time. Or, again, you may wander into a bookstore, or before a bookstand on the street, and there, apparently by accident, you will place your hand upon a volume containing exactly the particular information which you have been seeking, or which will indicate another book in which the desired information may be found. And, so on, the strange happenings at last becoming commonplace and expected. These occurrences, however, are not to be taken as indications of the operation of a special providence, or as mere luck. In the world of natural things nothing ever happens, everything occurs according to the law of cause and effect. You have set into operation the mental causes, and the mental or physical results have followed in their train. Under the law of attraction, and according to the law of correlation between thoughts and things, there is started into operation a chain of cause and effect which often is far-reaching and startlingly effective. Under these great laws of nature your own shall come to you. Sometimes, moreover, you may find yourself fairly lifted out of your present environment, and deposited, not always gently, into the midst of a new environment, and amid new conditions, which are eventually found to be quite conducive to the realization of your ideas and ideals, but which at the time of the transplanting seem to be the overturning and upsetting of all that seemed favorable to your success. What has seemed to be the very worst kind of luck, has very often turned out to be the one particular piece of good fortune upon which the after success of the individual depended. Sometimes the individual is torn away from the things to which he is tied, things which seem to him to be good and quite necessary for his success, but which really have been preventing the full expression of his ideals. In such cases the individual may cry aloud in bitter protest, but the law is inexorable and proceeds directly to its logical end and aim. As time passes, the individual sees what it all means, and blesses the gods of things as they are for the separation and freedom which have worked out such good results for him. In these and other ways the law of attraction and the law of correlation work at their ends. Once set into operation they move toward their objective like a glacier, or like a snowball rolling downhill. But it must not be forgotten that if you hold the wrong kind of thoughts, particularly if they are strengthened by dread, fearful belief, or other negative forms of confident expectation, then the movement of the mental glacier will be toward the things represented by those thoughts. As Helen Wilmans reminded us, in the preceding quotations, the law of correlation may lead one to the poorhouse as well as to the palace. The direction depends entirely upon the character of your thoughts, what you believe to be your destiny and fate, and what you confidently expect will happen. Like all great natural forces, thought power under the operation of the law of correlation will act in either direction, either backward or forward, according to which lever is pulled. You have your hands on the levers, the direction is in your own hands, it is up to you to decide which way you shall travel. The following practical suggestions concerning the efficient application and manifestation of thought power should be carefully studied by you, for they contain the essence of the principles and methods which we have described in the foregoing pages of this book. The positive center of egohood. Always maintain your consciousness of egohood or consciousness of yourself, the ego, the I am I as a center of consciousness and power in the Allah power of the cosmos. Always hold yourself positive toward your mental states, their master. Always hold yourself positive toward undesirable thought influences, denying them admission to your mental realm. Always hold yourself open to the higher influences of desirable thoughts and inspiration, but always maintain the right to inspect, examine and pass judgment even upon these before bidding them to enter. Affirm to yourself as follows: I am a center of positive power. Deny any possible influence over you of adverse or undesirable thought power, as follows: I assert my egohood and mastery. I deny to all adverse or undesirable thought influence the power to affect or to influence me even in the slightest degree. I am immune to such. 2. Ideals and mental pictures. Always hold fast to your ideals of what you wish to be materialized in objective form in your experience, and endeavor to create and maintain clear and definite mental pictures of those ideals. See and think of things and conditions as you wish them to become, actually striving to see and think of these as actually existent at the present time, so far as is possible. Here are the 3 rules. 1. Think of and see yourself as you wish to become actually. 2. Think of and see other persons as you wish them to become actually. 3. Think of and see your surrounding conditions and environment as you wish them to become actually. These ideas and mental pictures are the patterns around which will be deposited the actual materializations, the molds into which will be poured the materialized substance, which will crystallize and harden into objective reality. As are your patterns and your molds, so will be the materialized products. The mental idea or image is the pattern, mold or design of the objective, material form. Select and use only those patterns, molds or designs which you wish to be reproduced in objective, material form. 3. Treatment of places, conditions, and environment. The essence of the treatment of places, conditions, environment, etc., is that of pouring out toward and into that which is treated a strong, positive stream of thought vibrations. These thought vibrations are to be key to the rhythm of the particular thoughts, ideas or mental pictures which represent that which you wish to have materialized and manifested in actual form and are to be impelled and projected by the strength of your desire faith, a will which has been aroused by you for the purpose. The secret of the projection of these thought occurrents is to be found in the following suggestion. 4. The secret of thought projection. The secret of thought projection consists of a. The formation of definite ideas and clear mental pictures of that which you wish to be manifested in objective form in the external world, and b. The presence and activity of strong desire power, faith power, and will power, back of the ideas or mental pictures to be projected. The desire faith or will power is poured forth into the objective, external world, on the material plane, but it takes form according to the pattern of the ideas and mental pictures through which it pours. This process is also well illustrated by the ancient metaphor or simile of the mental magic lantern, which is described in the following 2 paragraphs. V. The mental magic lantern. The ancient teachers in the schools of occultism were wont to illustrate the process of the projection of thought power, in the phase of thought forms, by reference to a primitive apparatus employed in those times for the projection of painted pictures upon a screen, an apparatus which was based upon the same principles as the more complex and perfect magic lantern of our own times, and which has its highest development in the motion picture apparatus of today. There is no more appropriate illustrative figure than this to employ in the case of the projection of thought power in the phase of thought forms, and you will do well to remember it. In this figurative illustration, let the screen represent the external world of objectivity, the material world. Let the slide or film bearing the pictures represent your positive ideas, ideals, or mental pictures which you wish to become manifested or materialized on the screen of the material world. Let the light which projects the pictures, and which is placed back of the slide or film, represent the strong desire faith or will power which you have aroused for the purpose of making your ideals become real, your mental pictures to take on actual material forms. You should think of this illustration the next time you witness a magic lantern show, or attend a motion picture exhibition. The ancient teachers held that this illustration, if held firmly in mind, tended to add force to the mental projective process. Remember, always, that a. The picture on the slide or film must be clear, strong, and definite in outlines, and b. The light of desire faith though behind the slide or film must be strong, constant, persistent, and not dull, intermittent or flickering. By the master formula of attainment. In other books of this series we have called our students' attention to the master formula of attainment, which is as follows: 1. Definite ideals, 2. Insistent desire, 3. Confident expectation, 4. Persistent determination, and 5. Balanced compensation. This master formula will create for you the magic elixir of success. Employ it in your application of thought power. Stated in popular form, the master formula is as follows: you may have anything you want provided that you 1. Know exactly what you want, 2. Want it hard enough, 3. Confidently expect to obtain it, 4. Persistently determined to obtain it, and 5. Are willing to pay the price of its attainment. Ponder over it until you fully grasp it. 7. The touchstone of positivity. In other books of this series we have called the attention of our students to the touchstone of positivity, the scale, measure or standard whereby one may determine whether his desires, thoughts, ideas, ideals or actions are positive or negative. Inasmuch as we have employed the terms positive and negative many times in the present book, we have thought it well to restate the touchstone here. For the use of those who have not read the other books it is as follows: apply to the idea, ideal, thought, belief, faith, desire, or action, the following question: will this make me better, stronger, and more efficient? Anything that will make you better, stronger, and more efficient, is positive, so far as you are concerned. Anything that will make you worse, weaker, and less efficient, is negative, so far as you are concerned. Anything that is neither positive nor yet the negative must be classed as neutral in your categories. It is the part of wisdom to cultivate so far as is possible the positive qualities of thought, feeling, and action, and to repress and inhibit so far as is possible the negative qualities of thought, feeling, and action. You will do well to remember and to apply this touchstone of positivity in your use of thought power, as well as in the use of all forms of personal power. In this book you will find the practical principles of the operation of that phase of your personal power which is known as thought power. These practical principles presented without the addition of any metaphysical theories or teachings seeking to account for the phenomena in question. We leave you free to add these metaphysical principles if you wish. Many persons seem to find it more satisfying to do so. You will find that, whatever may be the metaphysical doctrine you select to explain these principles and phenomena, the practical facts of the application of these principles will remain virtually the same. They will fit into any metaphysical structure which you may see fit to build around them. This, because we have dealt only with facts, not with theories or doctrines seeking to account for those facts. Analyze the practical methods of the various metaphysical schools, after having divested them of their theories and speculations, and you will find that their essence is almost identical with that of the methods herein advanced and presented to you. In other words, while the why phases of the subject differ widely from one another, the various schools usually are found in agreement upon the essential elements of the how phase of the subject. The how side we consider the most important in this particular connection. The rest we consider to consist largely of the choice of words, terms, and theories, of which latter one often is tempted to say, in the words of a popular humorist, they're all right but they don't mean anything. The facts of a subject really mean something the rest too often doesn't, or even when it does, it very often means something that isn't so. Keep your feet on the solid ground of facts, even though your eyes may be fixed on the stars.